You are live.
I am live. The meeting of the Township of Parsippany Troy Hills Planning Board for Monday, February 6, 2023 at 7:30 p.m. is called to order. Announcement is made that adequate notice of this meeting has been given and that it is being conducted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-6 at sec of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Nora, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Diddy.
Here.
Councilman DiPiero.
Here.
Mr. Mealy.
Here.
Mr. Matt.
Present.
Mr. Napolitano.
Here.
Ms. Veely. Here. Mr. Von Aiken.
Here.
Chairman Dinsmore.
Here.
We have our board planner, Mr. Weiser.
Hello.
Our board engineer, Mr. Candiano, and our board attorney, Mr. Lagana.
If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this meeting is open to the general public. Is there anyone in the audience that has something that they would like to bring to the attention of the board that is not on tonight's agenda? Hearing and seeing none, we move on. First, we have correspondence from Simone Cali of Cali Law requesting application 22:536. Ashutosh Desai and Stephen Buchert, 192 Condit Street. They would like to postpone to carry the case until March 6, 2023, without further notice due to witness unavailability. Are there any questions, anything we need? Should I put a motion, or should I just say, okay, we're carrying it to them?
You just notice to the public that they will not get further notice. This will serve as their notice. And the new date would be March the 6th, 2023 at 7:30 in these chambers.
All right, it's been a while since I've had one of those. So that is a notice. If you were here for case 22:536, we are postponing that case until March 6th. Next item we have is a resolution. We have a resolution approving the withdrawal of an application. If you could,
Yes.
I don't think I've ever had one of those.
Withdrawals are granted by leave of the board, as it's known, which means that essentially the board has to grant the applicant the permission to withdraw and set reasonable conditions for the withdrawal. It's good practice, in my opinion, is to ensure that any expenses incurred as a result of the application be covered by the applicant's escrow before the escrow is ultimately released to the applicant, so the borough does not incur any out-of-pocket expenses on its own behalf. This short resolution essentially states that by permitting the withdrawal without prejudice, so the applicant can file again with the conditions that the escrow be replenished if need be, to pay for any outstanding professional fees, and any escrow balance thereafter be submitted back to the applicant.
So you have provided us with a memorializing resolution for application number 21:530. Do I have someone willing to move this?
Can we know who this was?
3676 Hill Road,
No, the dealership.
yeah.
It's obviously a dealership, a car dealership. I'm just wondering which one.
Currently, I do not believe there's a car dealership there. There's something else. It could be a landscape company, but there's no existing car dealership.
Mr. Chairman, are you ready for a motion?
I want to make sure my attorney is happy with moving forward. You're
Yes.
good with it. Everybody else, any other comments from
Well, this
anybody?
said to construct a new and used car dealership.
Yes.
But
we
they're
don't-
withdrawing.
But we don't know which one. Was trying to get there.
No idea.
Okay.
All right, so Mr. Mealy, you were moving this
Yes.
memorializing resolution. Do I hear a second?
Second, Tadich.
Thank you very much. Nora, would you call the roll, please?
Didich,
Yes.
DePiero,
Yes.
Neely,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Napolitano,
Yes.
Veely. Yes. Von Aiken,
Yes.
Dinsmore.
Yes. Okay. Very interesting. I really have never had that one before.
Situation where an applicant can essentially nearly complete an application, hear the board's concerns, and attempt to withdraw without being bound by a resolution.
Yes.
And a board then, again, you have to ask the permission of the board to do it. It prevents an applicant, for instance, from having conducted multiple hearings on a particular subject or a particular application, and then withdrawing at the last minute or the 11th hour, and the board essentially being left without the ability to render a decision on the facts heard to the date.
Right.
That's why it's done in this fashion.
Okay. Very interesting. All right, that moves us on to the agenda item. Application number 22:536 was moved to March 6th. Then we have application number 23:501, Ahmed Abegjendia, 12 Violet Street, Block 6, Lot 12, Zone R1. Major soil moving permit associated with the construction of a new single-family dwelling. Is the applicant here? If you could come forward. Identify yourself and your address, please, and then our attorney will...
Sir, before you do that, would you please raise your right hand?
No.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Name and address for the record, please spell your last, and please speak into the mic.
Ahmed Abougendia. My current address is 1 Gatehole Drive, Parsippany.
Okay.
Can you please restate your last name?
Abougendia?
Abougendia.
Yes.
It's spelled here.
I'm
Yes.
just wanted to hear the accent.
Sure.
Mr. Abougendia,
Yeah.
you filed the present application for a soil moving permit related to a single-family dwelling in the township, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you give the board the benefit of what you're looking to do?
Sure, yeah. I'm just planning to build a house in Parsippany. I used to live in Randall for 17 years and recently sold my house. And, my office is literally 5 minutes from what I'm planning to build. So I thought Parsippany is a great town to reestablish, a house and raise my two newly born kids, 2.5 and 3 months old.
Very good. Okay. So, you're asking for a major soil moving permit. You've given us some material in the application. If you could just discuss exactly why you needed to file for this, where you're going to put it. And I'm going to turn to our zoning officer and find out what questions she would love to have answered before we ever move forward with this.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I know these have been previously submitted, but I would suggest we mark them as Exhibit A1 through 3.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so we submitted the engineering plans to the engineering department, and they said part of the application is submit for soil movement. And they asked the engineer to come up with an estimate of if it's above the minor or major limits, and the engineer came up with the limit, and we filled out the application.
Okay. I see a lot of elevations here. Is there any question of critical slopes that you might ascertain from this?
If there were, engineering would have forwarded it to me,
Okay,
and we would have taken care of it, yeah.
I just
We already
wanted to-
issued the zoning permit.
Correct, yeah.
So there were no variances.
No.
For the single-family dwelling, so zoning would just issue a permit. The only thing that is unique to Parsippany is in other towns, Nora and I have discussed this, major soil moving is just usually before the council.
Yeah.
For some reason in Parsippany, it's before the planning board and the council.
Correct.
So I'm not really sure why. It's kind of unique. but usually it's handled by the township engineer, not the board planner. It's usually just before the council. But for some reason, we've always done it this way, so it's kind of redundant. But zoning didn't have any issues. We've issued the permit.
Yeah, neither engineering, I'm just asking you.
Yeah.
I just don't see anything here, when you're moving a lot of swell around, to be concerned about the runoff into other properties. But there's nothing here to even address that, as far as I can tell.
Well, I mean, we don't have the complete plan set, from what I can tell, right?
I know.
We only have one sheet, and it's not even, there's no scale on it, it doesn't even say who prepared it. But according to the engineer's letter, there was a 7-sheet set, and they've also got a permit from the Morris County Soil Conservation District. They wouldn't have gotten that based on what we have in front of us.
Right.
There would have been an actual engineered set of plans. So, and with that, Councilman, I'm sure they would have to provide erosion, sediment and erosion.
All right, so we're gonna go on faith that all that's been done, since we have,
Well, they have a permit that says it's been done.
yeah, right.
It's
We
not-
can
yeah.
condition it, if that's helpful.
So I don't even know if that's necessary, if they have all those
Yeah,
permits.
it's a soil moving permit.
Yes.
We should probably inform the applicant that the law makes it so that you are not allowed to create any additional runoff onto your neighbor's property.
Sure, yeah. I'm
So-
surrounded actually by woods on all sides, so.
So whatever you're doing, the runoff that was there before is kind of grandfathered. We'd prefer that you try to fix it, but you can't add any more runoff anywhere. So if a neighbor suddenly has problems from water being run off,
Yeah,
you may have to come back here and be asked to fix it.
yeah. Just also for the information of the board, my engineer came up with a 70-page document to actually handle the, what they call it, water management or storm water management.
Drainage report.
Yeah, so pretty much they calculated the surface areas of clean and dirty waters, and they came up with a design of how to hold and dissipate water, and so it was, so they went through like a massive study just to cover that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those weird things that every year we talk about changing the ordinance, so this just goes to the council, and every year that slips through the cracks.
I don't even think it should go to the council. The engineer does
Does everything.
In
Yeah.
fact, one of the planners years ago corrected me and said it's not our job to ask about, how many truckloads and what route are they taking. That's the engineer that does that, not the planning board and not the council.
Correct.
So, we should change the ordinance, if I know which one it is, to say, let the engineer, since he's doing it anyway, make the final approval.
Right.
Anybody want to find that ordinance, let me know.
Nora has the part that goes to the planning board. We can get that to you.
All right.
Okay, well, it's in front of us now, though, right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. We have to make a decision tonight, whether we feel that this is
Mhm.
not appropriate for here, but the law says that we have to deal with it anyway.
Well, I believe in my past experience, this is our opportunity to recommend conditions as it moves forward to the council, correct? Such as truck routing or things like that, or different start times was near a school. But I don't think any of those apply in this instance.
Well, even if they did, I was told that's not even our job to do that.
Yeah, we're not actually removing any soil,
What we've
it's
done now.
because the grading, we're removing soil from where the foundation is and grading the rest of the property. So there's actually nothing leaving the property or nothing coming, so.
Okay.
Oh,
That was gonna be
That's
my
why even when I
question.
was filling out the application, I understand what routes.
So you're
Supposed to
you're
put
just
here.
simply moving the dirt from one portion of the property
It's
to
a nice
another.
sloped property, so we're removing really soil from where the foundation will be and grading in front of the house to cover the
Okay.
foundation, so.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure really what.
Because I'm pretty sure, I thought the foundations were exempt from the soil moving, but
Well, maybe because he's putting it
But
on
it's
the
putting it
property.
back on the property, that's why it's, yeah, that's why it's a permit. So there's no trucks?
No, it's
Just
really,
8,000 cubic yards.
I don't know how much
Right?
they came up with, but
Okay.
came up
That's
with.
a lot of soil to move.
Yeah,
but,
and also-
It's just gonna stay on the property?
It's gonna stay on the property, and also keep in mind that the water treatment, they are creating a small pond in the front to collect the water. Also, all the soil that's gonna come out is gonna go back to backfill the house. It is a slope. So when you put the foundation in front of the basement is gonna be bare, so you will have to backfill that. Again, it just,
Okay.
Mr. Weiser, you have any comments?
I have no comments whatsoever. We do not review these,
I didn't think so, but
but I appreciate you
sometimes
asking.
your experience is useful.
No. My towns are generally flat.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Canjiano, do you have any comments?
No, again, this is reviewed, this is a single-family home plot plan reviewed by the engineering department. And we don't have any comments from, Justin's office on his review. I don't know if the applicants received any comments from his office.
there was a comment about the parks and forestry, but the engineer's working this with them.
And the Soil Conservation District is, they have an extensive comment. They have to reply and provide that additional information. I can only surmise that the engineer's office looked at it for particular, the main concern is how it affects adjacent properties, but we don't have any information. So, as others have said, it's kind of not really been reviewed by us, it's not in our jurisdiction either, so.
Okay.
But it has been reviewed by engineering, and it has been reviewed by Soil Conservation Service.
Mr. Van Aken?
I guess the only thing that still concerns me a little bit is, with the steepness of the slope, how will you make sure that the dirt stays where you put it and doesn't run off onto the street or cause other problems?
Yeah, so the slope actually is very,
Gradual.
it's very gradual, it's not really very steep at all. It's
Okay.
less than 12%, right? But anyway, as part of the soil erosion control, we put that black, silt fence
Mhm.
all around the property, in front and sides.
Okay.
So
And
this is-
once you get a little bit of grass or whatever vegetation you're putting on it.
It will establish, of
Anchor
course, everything, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
there's no scale on this plan, but it looks to me like this is about a 3-to-1 slope coming down the yard.
How much?
A 1-on-3, like a 33%
No, so
slope.
the one on 3 is actually a created slope. When they put the house, then it will be steeper, so they put a maximum of 1-on-3 slope, but the
But
property.
it's 1-on-3.
Yeah,
It's
the
not
pro-
12%. Okay.
No,
in the
the
front of the
property
house.
itself,
Okay.
it goes up about maybe 20 feet in a span of 400 feet, so it's very, really easy slope.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, you listed the placement of the soil is in the front of the house, right? So
Yeah.
that's where I'm concerned about the
Yeah.
slope.
Yeah, yeah. Understood.
Okay. Any comments or questions by,
I have one.
yes, Mr. Napolitano?
Thank you, Mr. Dinsmore. So there's a lot of trees gonna be removed from this property, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Are you gonna replant any of them, or is this gonna be all grass around?
So we already removed the trees, and we are planting in the back about 50
Okay.
of those green giants, and we also have a plan to plant the native maple trees on all the sides and some ornamentals around as well.
All right,
So we
those-
have a plan submitted to the
Good, those,
park.
yeah, that's okay. The trees are gonna soak up a lot of water, I'm just concerned for you, mostly that you're, hopefully you got a good water drainage system you're gonna have put in there. 'cause-
Yeah, no, the missing
And you
one.
said there's gonna be a pond in the front? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so they suggested one of two systems, either an underground storage facilities for water, or a pond where it will collect water and has like a sandy base that
Mhm.
will dissipate, and there's
Okay.
like a dam control to overflow to the street. So they have, as I said, it was a massive, I couldn't even finish reading the whole thing.
Okay. And this Tulip Lane vacated street, no one's using that road for access to the
No,
property,
that's,
correct?
that's, yeah, that's just a paper road.
It's just a what?
It's just a paper road. It's just a
Okay.
paper.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Is that your application?
It is mine, yes.
Are there any members of the public who wish to speak or to ask questions on this application at this time? Hearing and seeing none. You have nothing further that you wish to say? Is
No,
there
that's it.
any member of the public who wish to speak in opposition to this application at this time? Hearing and seeing none. In favor of this application at this time? Hearing and seeing none. This closes the evidentiary portion of the case. Is there somebody willing to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Didi.
I move the motion to approve application 23:501, Ahmed Abujandia, 12 Violet Street, Block 6, Lot 12, Zone R1. Major soil moving permit associated with the construction of a newly single-family dwelling.
Do I have a second?
Subject to conditions raised in the December 19th, 2022 engineering memo.
All right, you're willing to amend that to? the-
Yeah. Motion according to the conditions set by the,
I'm sorry, did you receive this December 19th letter?
Yes,
In there are the fees associated with the
Correct.
application, which I'm sure you already paid.
yeah,
You said you already submitted your landscaping plans to Parks and Forestry,
correct.
and it requires some other conditions. Those will be made part of the approval should the board act.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second. Paul Tanner.
All right, Nora, would you call the roll, please?
Didich.
yes.
DePiero.
Yes.
Neely.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Napolitano.
Yes.
Veely.
Yes.
Von Aiken.
Yes.
Dinsmore.
Yes. Okay, the result is we have
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
passed this, and have a good evening.
You too.
No, you'll want to reach out to engineering now.
Okay. All right.
All right, that moves us to our next item on our agenda, the other business, the master plan consistency review for ordinance 2301, creating the OVL 8 overlay district, and I don't know why it's here, other than somebody told me that.
Mr. Chairman, let me see if I can throw at least some light on this, although I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to answer everybody's questions. It's my understanding, in speaking with Nora, that there was a one-word change from what we saw last month. But nobody knows what that one word is. I do not know what that one word is. But what I can tell you is that in speaking with, Mr. Inglesino, he was in the process of putting together a notice requirement for this zone change, for this overlay, and he found two things that caused him pause.
Okay.
The first, and everybody should have the draft in front of you, on page 2, sort of down near the bottom, at 430-466A, there is a reference to the 3 lots subject to this overlay as shown on Exhibit A. There's a map attached as Exhibit A at the very end. And if you look at Exhibit A, we did not do that map, so I don't even know where it came from. But the map itself, the area of the overlay is not the 3 lots that are described. So the area of the overlay is supposed to be block 202, lots 1.5, 1.6, and 1.7. And for some reason, the dotted line on this map overlaps those properties plus additional properties. So this would be one change that is being made from the ordinance that we saw last week. Don't know where this came from. It does not impact at all the board's decision from last month, rather, the last meeting. So that's issue 1. Issue 2 is subsection B, under that same 466, says, the overlay district boundary shall extend to the full map rights-of-way or easements contiguous with the lots that I just described for the purposes of driveway access, walkway, circulation, utility connections, streetscaping, landscaping, lighting, signage, and the like. Again, I don't know where this comes from. But in looking at, the notice requirements, the 200-foot notice, this would add additional properties to the notice requirement. So there was a request to pull this out. Both of these are sort of, I think, de minimis procedural. They do not impact the intent of what you ruled on last meeting. They do not impact at all the consistency with the master plan as we discussed at length last time. So, to the extent that this calculates to the one-word change that we were told was coming through, I don't see any change. I don't see any impact to what we did last time. To the extent that there's another change that hasn't been described to us, I simply can't address it.
All right, we have a council meeting tomorrow night, and this is on the agenda. I guess I'll find out tomorrow night.
I mean, frankly, I can't imagine a change of one word if that's indeed what was, if what was described to us is indeed the truth, how that is going to change whether this is consistent with the master plan or not. We discussed it at length. The concepts are consistent, and whatever word may or may not be different, it's a difference that doesn't make a difference. I can't imagine what the difference would be.
Well, I'm going to ask my professionals what they recommend to us to do at this moment. Is this something where we need to vote and say, yes, indeed, that is our understanding, and we believe that this is still consistent with the master plan? Or is there something else that we need to do? Or just leave it as it is and tell the council that...
I think in my mind, and I will certainly defer to council, but in my mind, I think a simple recognition that this doesn't change what we did last time, and the findings are still, and recommendations are still our finding and or your finding and recommendations.
It's still consistent with the master plan.
It's still consistent with the, thank you, it's still consistent with the master plan.
All right, we'll find out tomorrow night.
Mr. Cassessa? Have any words of wisdom for us?
Oh, you know. I find it hard to believe that one word would change the overall structure of this. Why wouldn't it be classified as a clerical error?
Well, I think if that word were not permitted, it's
That word would change.
One would think that if there was something of major import, they would have told us what it was.
Well, there's the famous case of the comma, so you're right, you can't discredit minor revisions. Stuart said it best, if the overall intent of what occurred at the last meeting is still in place in this document, then the board can find it to be consistent with the master plan, and that's the standard of review.
Well, that's it. There's nothing we can do until I find out what their concern is. Who has the concern?
Should we simply vote and say that the document that's been placed in front of us, we find consistent with the master plan, and that way you can go ahead with your business and not have...
Yeah, as, this ordinance, as we see it, is consistent with the master plan. We already ruled on that, voted on that.
Right,
So,
and that we don't see a material difference in this.
exactly.
I would just throw out one caveat that if the discussion tomorrow night reveals a material difference, but we're not going to be there, so, I don't even know how to address this, frankly. It's like you said earlier, some things here tonight we've never seen before.
Yeah, the problem with this one is, this started back in 2022, and it had to be rewritten. And so this applicant has been waiting for 3 months,
Right.
and Mr. Inglesino was trying to, at least now, fast-track it and not make the applicant wait any longer. And now, when I find out tomorrow night if there is some significant change, it's gotta come back to us again. It's gonna be delayed for another 2 weeks.
Oh, but this is also an overlay, it's not for a specific applicant, right?
Oh, this was for a specific applicant.
Well, there's a specific applicant.
All of the ones that I've seen of overlays have been, in the end, for a particular project, let's say. rather
Yeah.
than-
Just trying to find that nuance there.
Yeah. Something called spot zoning.
All right, I don't see any way we're gonna solve it tonight.
So, Donna, you have any,
I have nothing further to answer.
Mr. Weiser, you already told us you have nothing to add.
Exactly.
Would it be helpful if we were to vote that we found this consistent with the previous finding that it was consistent with the master
We
plan?
already did that,
I know.
so that's redundant. We voted on what we see in front of us, and it was consistent with the master plan. So now I have to go back and find out who's got a concern and what it is, because I don't know what it is. Shame on whoever it was, shame on either Khaled or the township attorney or Inglesino for not getting back to us to talk to us.
Should be
I just want to mention that we do have another meeting next Monday, so if there is an issue,
We could put it on for next Monday.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, I, just to be clear, I did have a conversation I would have to have been last week, that resulted in those two changes with Mr. Inglesino, that did result in those two changes, that I discussed. But they are not, what's confusing me is this comment about one word changed.
Right,
And I just simply don't know what that is.
yeah. Okay. So that's the end of our agenda, right, Tom?
No, we've got a referral to planning board to conduct a preliminary investigation of property within the township for potential redevelopment. And that is this item that we have here, this resolution in your packets. It says R 2023-32 up in the upper left. And who is here prepared to talk to us about this?
The first I've seen it is when it was in the packet. And we are fully prepared to move forward on it. We would have to be assigned, but the board would have to accept the directive of the governing body and then assign it to somebody. We are fully prepared to do that, pending authorization.
Okay. So our objective here is to simply authorize you to conduct an investigation to determine whether or not this particular parcel of land.
I think it's 2 lots if I recall directly.
Okay. Parcels of land, are appropriate for a potential redevelopment.
Does anybody know where these are?
Lanadex area.
Is this the same location with the 500 new units, that Park Parsippany? That they're building, 500 units over there?
I heard about
Is there more back there?
Lanadex West.
2030 Lanadex.
It's across the road.
Yeah,
The same,
it's the letter.
across the street.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Lanadex West, and they want to, I heard something
Oh,
about
yeah, it says.
tearing down some office buildings and building a warehouse, a small warehouse.
Okay, yeah, no, I see it on the top, I should have just read
It's just behind the
first
school.
where, second whereas.
Thanks.
Okay,
Behind.
20 to 30 Lanadex West Plaza, West
First 50 is right here.
Parsippany.
Right, and then this is,
On the other side, yeah. Yeah.
All right, so the objective here is simply to authorize you to look into it, to see if it's something that we should consider.
If it, presumably, if it qualifies under the statute.
If it qualifies under the statute. Who brought this before us? Is this, is this,
Joe O'Neill, I believe.
Council. sent it down. It came
Resolution from the council.
Yeah, but I think it was, the attorney is Joe O'Neill.
okay. I would have liked a little more information.
This will precipitate a full report by Stewart's office.
I understand that, but it would have been nice to maybe have had a letter from Mr. O'Neill or something like that explaining what he wanted us to do.
Before we, spend the money, so
Yes.
to say, yeah.
Well, is,
Once you mentioned Lanedex West, and it triggered, I had a discussion with Joe O'Neill, about 2 weeks ago, and he asked, was Lanedex West on our agenda? And I said, no. He said, well, it should be. I said, what's going on in Lanedex West? And he said, well, we want an overlay there, to build a warehouse.
okay.
So I heard that 2 weeks ago, and until just now I saw Lanedex West, it didn't trigger. I don't know
So
what
there's
this was.
potentially several steps to this. First, they want this to be identified as a, area in need of redevelopment,
Exactly,
and then they'll put the overlay zone on it,
right,
and then we'll go ahead with the site plan.
that's right.
Okay. Now, I actually have a problem with this. Who pays for this?
Areas in need of development is something the township does to improve the value or the tax value of properties.
Right.
If we have vacant offices that are producing no revenue, and are vacant, then the township wants to reevaluate those properties and turn them back into tax-paying, sources.
Yes.
So we do.
What's the other benefits that maybe the landowner has when it gets listed this way?
An area in need of redevelopment, and believe me, I know nothing more than what's in this, but an area in need of redevelopment, the next step, as we just discussed, is the preparation of a redevelopment plan. That redevelopment plan will lay out goals and objectives for the township in doing this. It will then, create, whether it's a overlay zone or a change in the base zoning, for the area, and that'll be a policy decision at the time. You can suspend local zoning and create new zoning on top of that. And it permits, some type of pilot, which I am seeing more and more being the driving reason behind these things because, for obvious reasons, reasons.
And we don't make the decision on that part. This is just to
Frankly,
get the report.
you don't make
so
the
council can
decision
make the decision.
on whether to do this or not. You have been directed under this redevelopment statute to prepare this. You get to decide who prepares it. The study comes back to you, and then you decide whether it meets any one of the 8 criteria in the redevelopment law as to being in need of redevelopment. You then make a recommendation to the governing body that it qualifies or doesn't, or how it does, and then they take it from there.
You mentioned it.
Okay.
It comes back here for ultimate for the redevelopment plan.
Redevelopment comes back here, just like any ordinance change.
Right.
Review recommendation, finding of consistency with the master plan, and then it's an ordinance at the governing body level. And then we do get the bite at the apple at site plan.
Okay. Do I have, we don't have to open this to public discussion. I didn't think so. Are any members of the board that have any comments or questions?
No.
I just have a comment.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. There's about 1,000 units total, maybe 1,500 units total being built in the Parsippany Hill side of town. there's no way, even if a third of those have two kids in their homes, our schools will be overwhelmed. So I'm just hoping this is not for more housing.
Well, it's for
And
a warehouse,
especially in the
for a
pilot program.
warehouse, apparently.
What was that?
It's for a warehouse.
Right, I'm just saying, I'm hoping it's not for housing.
Well, we're gonna have to, the investigation is gonna.
Okay.
Then the council is gonna pass something that that's when the comment of, don't put any residential in there, this is already overpacked in this area,
Gotcha. Good.
is
Thank you.
gonna come to play. Is that?
Yeah, the uses will be a policy decision that's driven by the governing body at the time. So your opportunity to comment or object would be at that time.
Okay. And out of curiosity, for warehousing, is there certain warehouses that are not allowed near schools? Because the East Lake Elementary School is right behind this property, or in front of it, however you want to say it.
Again, that'll be at the time, at the time of the redevelopment plan. Right now, what we're being asked, what the board is being asked to do is an existing condition study as to the current condition of the property against the 8 criteria for redevelopment area designation. And it doesn't go beyond that.
Gotcha.
We're not even there yet.
Yeah, right.
Not even there yet. See, all these years and I'm still learning stuff. But, okay. Anything else we need to,
Do we need to take a vote to direct our
Yes.
planner to
yes.
do this?
Do I have somebody willing to make a motion, letting this resolution go forward and appointing Mr. Weiser to investigate the need for redevelopment?
Mr. Chairman, a motion to move,
No, it's Frank.
R2023-032, for investigation by our planner.
All right.
Second, Meth.
Thank you, Mr. Math. Nora, would you call the roll, please?
Didich.
Yes.
DePiero.
Yes.
Neely.
Yes.
Math.
Yes.
Napolitano.
Yes.
Veely.
Yes.
Von Aiken.
Yes.
Dinsmore.
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right. So we've hired you to investigate.
We will do that.
Is there anything else that needs to come before this board at this time? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Neely,
Yes.
do I have a second?
Second, Von Aiken.
Anybody opposed can stay here.
Think about it.
Anybody opposed can turn the lights out on the way out.
Exactly.
Clean the bedroom.